Salute the quills.
Yeah.
All right, Nancy, you ready to go?
I am ready.
Everyone else ready to go?
Clock on the walls.
Yes.
Something, hold on 1 second, something is not.
Let's try to break this down.
Seems like I guessed. Plus, we got an exec after the meeting. We're never going to break the skin over. Maybe for regulation.
No, that's
we might
true.
break it,
No.
but not with overtime.
All right, make sure your red light is on and your microphone is.
Okay, we are recording and it seems to be working, so,
Okay. Recording. YouTube on?
yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Mayor and Council of the Borough of PEAPACK and Gladstone. It is June 17, 2025 at 7:01 p.m. And I'd like to call this meeting to order. Nancy, please read the sunshine notice.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the 2025 meeting dates was published in the Courier News and the Burnsville News on December 26, 2024, and posted at the municipal complex. Action may be taken.
May I kindly ask everyone to silence their cell phones as I have just done, or think I've just done, and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please, Nancy.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Here.
Councilman Portello?
Here.
Councilman Silva?
Here.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Here.
Council President Sweeney?
Here.
Councilwoman Weigel?
Here.
Mayor Corleone?
Here. I'd like to start the meeting with public comments on non-agenda items. If anyone is here to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda this evening, I welcome you to the microphone. Please. Name and address first, please.
Evening, Rich Ramsey, 3 Perry Street. Tennis courts, I believe, are not an agenda item. Can you please provide some update?
Sure. So we are working on getting new tennis courts and pickleball courts. We've gone through a couple iterations. Currently, the plan and the initial estimate for construction is for everything now to move to the municipal lot. So the near ball field would disappear, and in between where that ball field is to where the basketball court is, in that space would be 2 tennis courts and then 2 pickleball courts perpendicular to each other, all connected at that site. So that's what we're working on. We got an initial bid from the single construction company that does this type of construction, tennis, post-stress concrete. Thank you. And now we're sending some information to our engineer, borough engineer.
Okay, so what will remain on timeline?
So at this point, probably the hitting wall will stay there. We don't see a reason to remove that at this point, but very likely the rest of it will be torn down.
Okay. And has a firm decision been made on the material for the courts?
Yeah, so it's a company. You're welcome to look it up. It's called Classic Turf. It's this again, what Eric said. It's a different construction. There's a couple tennis courts if you have real interest already up at Chubb Park in Chester. They have that construction. So it's a little bit of a different material that has very low maintenance, lasts a very long time, and so we are hoping that basically those 2 things are a good fit for our town.
Yeah.
We don't have the staff to be kind of maintaining racket sports surfaces. So it lasts a long time. Every 10 years you kind of repaint it with the specialized paint that covers it, but otherwise it's really low maintenance.
Yeah, I've been on the one at Chubb Park, and it's pretty good. It's pretty comparable to a standard hard court.
Great.
Same company, Classic Turf,
Yeah.
the one in Chubb Park.
All right. Thank you.
To be very specific, and I'll read it to you, it's a post-tension concrete court with a diamond-coated acrylic sports surface on top.
Yeah, I know I had mentioned there are courts in the Liberty Corner that are some sort of synthetic, and they're just, the playability is really poor. But again, the Chubb courts, if they end up like that,
Yeah, same company, so they'll be exactly like that. they really do only do the one type. They do a different cover on some of them that is a little bit bouncier, but we're doing what's up at Chuck Park.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Hearing none, closing non-agenda items discussion. Let's move on to old business. Housing element and fair share plan. So this evening, we have the housing element and fair share plan in front of us for consent. As you all know, this has been before the land use board for review. They have already passed a resolution approving it. I'm going to let our attorney just brief you all on this. The final copy I can send out in case you do not have it, but there's a resolution on, amongst our resolutions for consenting this. And Steve will tell you where it goes from here.
Certainly, yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Yes, as the Mayor mentioned, this is our fourth round housing element fair share plan that is required to be adopted and electronically filed with the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program, which is monitored through the Superior Court of State of New Jersey. By June 30th, the housing element fair share plan was adopted by the Land Use Board last week. It already has been electronically filed as it was required to be electronically filed with that program within 48 hours pursuant to the amended Fair Housing Act and the Administrative Office of the Courts Directive number 14 for those who are keeping track. So that has been accomplished, but part of the process, of course, is because the Land Use Board, acting as a planning board, is obligated to adopt any and all elements of the master plan, including the housing element fair share plan. That has been done, but of course the township has a responsibility for satisfying our constitutional affordable housing obligation or Mount Laurel obligation. Hence, the directive also requires that we as a township committee, borough, the governing body, I should say, endorse the adoption. The housing element fair share plan was adopted by the Land Use Board. So that is what is before us this evening. Assuming we do that, that would also be electronically filed by me as well with the program. And all of this is to ensure, among other things, that we maintain our immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits, which are, as I think everyone probably knows by now, lawsuits where developers, if you do not have that immunity, can build effectively what they want, where they want, at densities and heights that they want. That would essentially take away our control over zoning for affordable housing in our borough. So that is what is before us, and I think I know the borough governing body is familiar with the plan. I don't know if you want me to get into the details of the plan, but there are various mechanisms which satisfy our obligation that will be filed, and then there is a 60-day period within which interested parties by August 30th can, should they so desire, to challenge our plan. In the event that does not happen, I would presume then by September or shortly thereafter, our plan would result in a certificate of compliance for us, which would again satisfy our fourth round obligation for the next 10 years, July 1, 2025 to June 30, 2035, when I'll be a lot more than 10 years older by then. And but if it is challenged, then there is a process through the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program whereby it's mediated before a former Mount Laurel judge, as we experienced with the disputed number affordable housing obligation that we had previously, which we substantially reduced down to what we just about what we thought it should be. And if that mediation does not resolve the dispute, if there is one challenge to our plan, then there would be a session, essentially a litigation, and then that would be resolved ultimately by no later than May of 2026, even if this challenge occurs and this protracted process occurs. By May 2026, we would have to finalize our housing on fair share plan and adopt our implementation ordinances, which would effectuate any new zoning, spending plans, affirmative marketing plans, and the like. So I know that was a bit of a mouthful, but that is the process. This is the context of why we are where we are now. And the most important thing is, as a borough, we continue to maintain our immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits and to provide affordable housing that satisfies our constitutional obligation in a way that is best for the borough as a whole. And the land use board and the governing body essentially work together in that regard. So if there's any questions, I am here.
I would just say we got the number down to about where we wanted the number to be.
Exactly.
Under the existing rules that they gave us to work
Well,
with.
exactly. I think the phrase is one plays the cards, dealt them. But I think for the benefit of the residents, congratulations to everyone involved.
We did what was doable.
They were played as best as they could be played, and in a very beneficial way.
Steve, I think you said May 31st, March 31st.
March 31st. Did I say May? I'm sorry. March, yes, the end of March 2026 will be the outside date, if you will. But again, hopefully, we don't have any challenges, and what we have now is the plan, as well as those implementation ordinances in a draft form. That's what was required of us by the June 30 date. So here we are, with plenty of days to spare before the fourth round starts, but presumably and hopefully, in my opinion, we'll adopt that resolution endorsing the plan that was already adopted by the planning board.
So just for council's information, Zabel is working on the drafts to be filed, because we have to file the drafts along with this. Zabel is working on them, then he's going to put this matter aside. He's on Highlands at the moment, he's going to jump on Highlands full time. To knock that out by August is his promise to me. Then we'll go back to these ordinances, we'll pass them well before next March, get them into place, and then we'll be on our way. So that's, again, Highlands has nothing to do with this, but I just wanted to know that Highlands is in the works.
And if I make a good use of that 60-day period within we wait to see if anyone challenges our plan, for our planner to be focused on that.
Before we adopt those ordinances.
And I'm sorry, I used the word Zalo, I'm talking about John Zalo, for you all. So that's how we're proceeding with managing all this. And he has someone in his office working on that. Spending a lot of money on planning.
The good news is, if all goes well, I'm sure it will, the fifth round doesn't start until July of 2035.
So that's what we stand on this.
What would we say the fifth round?
To be clear, any questions on where we're going with all this?
And 3 and 4, I don't want to get 5.
Satisfying our affordable for round 4. We're all good with understanding?
Yep.
All those? You all did. Please turn the housing element fair share plan very carefully.
It was a big turn.
It was riveting, wasn't it?
Yes.
See who done it at the end.
All right. While we're under old business, something happened today. I'll let Jamie update us on that.
Yeah, it's exciting. So another farmland preservation project came through fruition after, I think we started in 2018. There were many delays during COVID, so this was, of all the projects I've been involved with, this is by far the longest. So it feels extra rewarding that it's done. So it's a property up on Willow, owned by the Tucker family. We preserved about just under 35 acres of land under the SADC, so farmland preservation. And it's a situation in which the county, SADC, and Highlands covered all the costs. And so nothing came out of the borough's open space fund for this. So it is really a remarkable outcome and exciting to preserve that beautiful property.
You're on a roll.
That's great.
I know. We haven't had a shape project for a while.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well done.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Well done to the entire team. That was fun. Okay. I see nothing listed for new business or miscellaneous, but I'll ask the council if anything last minute.
No.
Seeing none, we'll move on to minutes. May 27th, regular meeting minutes. Motion second, please.
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portella?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Abstain.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wyrick?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Let's, we have one ordinance introduction tonight. It is 1157-2025. Is an ordinance amending chapter 14 of the revised general ordinances of the borough to establish standards for maintenance of road right of way. And essentially, I'll recap this as I've been doing recently. What we're doing is we're revising the ordinances, transferring some of the responsibility of foliage along the rights of way to homeowners similar to what other towns do. May I have a motion and second to introduce 1157-2025?
So moved.
Second.
Jamie and John. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portella?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda? Aye. Council President Sweeney?
Aye.
Councilwoman Wyrick?
But we're gonna pull this one. Yeah, I have some comments about it.
This is an introduction, so
Yeah.
That's just the introduction,
Right.
right?
this is just
Okay.
an introduction.
Making sure. Okay.
But hold off before you say the date of the public hearing, because I think it's the wrong date.
Okay, so let's address comments first. Well, comments would be provided at the second reading.
Okay.
Okay, let me get the revised date from Nancy.
Okay.
And I see that date, Nancy, and it does not look right.
Nope, it does, it
Yeah,
falls within,
that's the,
it falls within the 10. The date is correct for our meeting, but I didn't know if it fell in within the 10 days for the paper. But it does, because it won't go in the paper till next Thursday.
We need an act for that.
Good job, Stephanie.
An aye.
Ordinance 1157-2025 is introduced and shall be published in summary in Burnsville News. And the public hearing for said ordinance shall be held on July 8th, 2025 at 7 o'clock p.m. or shortly thereafter. Moving on. Let's move on to resolutions. Obviously, I believe we're going to want to pull 112 and review that one separately. But may I ask the council members to take a moment and go through 113 through 127, and then 130 and 131, and see which other ones. What's that?
Pull
113, pulled off the shelf.
113.
I have it ready.
Okay, got it,
I want to pull 113.
got
I
it.
covered it.
You got it, okay.
Oh.
Ready?
I tried to keep the ones that I knew needed to be pulled in the beginning,
I
so
know you're
that.
back in.
Wow, very impressive.
I kept on going. Definitely going. This one up here, this one down in the bottom.
I'm fine with that, with those two being pulled.
Okay. I don't have a need to pull 130, but I'll explain it before we do the consent.
Yeah. No.
it seems like 127, and then special officers, and it should be maybe more open.
Okay. So, just by way of explanation, we have a resolution here authorizing the execution of a TWA treatment works approval. I just want everyone to know what that is. That is an application that has to be filed with the state for sewer services to do affordables in that way. So everyone knows what that is. And I need authorization for this. It's a pretty standard form. We're going to pull 112, 113, and 127. So, may I have a motion and a second for a consent vote on resolutions 114, excuse me, sorry, yes, 114 through 126, and then 130 and 131.
So,
Second.
You have that, Nancy?
Yes.
Okay. When you're ready.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Aye.
Council President Sweeney?
aye,
Councilwoman Wyble?
Aye.
Okay, let's go to 112. A motion and a second for 112-25, endorsing the fourth round housing element fair share plan.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call when you're
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Aye.
Council President Sweeney?
Aye,
Councilwoman Wyble?
Aye.
ready. Resolution 113-25, authorizing the hiring of seasonal employees for the recreation summer camp program
So moved.
and other summer programs.
second,
Discussion? Okay, yes. Okay, roll call vote when you're ready.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Abstain.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Aye.
Council President Sweeney?
aye,
Councilwoman Wyble?
Abstain.
Okay, moving on to 127. This is 127-25, resolution appointing two class 2 special law enforcement officers.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call vote when you're ready. Any discussion?
You know, I mean, we've got two potential class twos, that we're gonna be putting through the academy. And when they come out, they'll be hired as class 2 special by the borough. They'll take the oath of office, but they've gotta make it through school first.
Roll call vote when you're ready.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Aye.
Council President Sweeney?
Aye,
Councilwoman Wyble?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to bills pay. Bill pay. Does any council member have any item that needs to be pulled for discussion of the bill pay list?
I just have one question. I saw that over $4,000 was spent on emergency generator repair for first aid. And I didn't know what the value of their generator was, that it was worth to spend that kind of money on repair versus replacement. Unless I misread it. I could have misread it.
I think that's-
No, that was correct. And if, let me know if I'm wrong, Tom, or not, but that one, your generator we got through a grant, correct?
Well, it was purchased by the borough, I believe, after Sandy, so the borough maintains the generator, it's not really the first aid.
Okay.
Well, no, I wasn't
She was
saying
asking-
that.
she was asking
I
for
was just saying, was it wise to spend $4,000 to repair a generator? I just don't know how old it was. That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
It's, throwing good money after bad kind of thing.
I can tell you it's 10 years old and probably new was $30,000 or $40,000.
All right, then if it's worth that much, then 4,000 is the reason why. I just didn't know how much it was worth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's a 30 kilowatt.
it's a standby generator, it's not the one you wheel into the garage.
Well, I knew it wasn't one you wheeled in the garage, but thank you for clarifying.
I know, I tried it.
Councilman Sweeney, super helpful.
I tried it.
Any others? Nancy, would you please read the total amount of bills to be paid?
$560,737.27.
Okay, motion and second to approve the payment of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilwoman Murphy?
Yes.
Councilman Portello?
Aye.
Councilman Silva?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sueda?
Aye.
Council President Sweeney?
Aye,
Councilwoman Wyble?
Aye.
Okay, very good. Moving on to council reports, I won't read through the list, but I'll ask any chairman if they have anything to say this all on to speak now. Anyone?
No.
I have no executive item summary. I have executive summary items for tonight to go on top of these. So we'll move on to public comments on agenda items. Does anybody have a comment on any item we discussed during the agenda this evening? Please come to the microphone. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. We're going to move into executive session for contract negotiations. Before we do, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the management of our first aid squad has joined us for our meeting tonight. So I just wanted to introduce Brianne and Tom Scanlon. Brianne, Bello, and Tom Scanlon, who are with us this evening. So thank you for being with us tonight. Okay. So may I have a
Mayor, I move that we move to executive session.
Thank you very much. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all so much for coming. Before you leave, the next meeting of the Borough Council is Tuesday, July 8th at 7 o'clock p.m. And our meetings in July and August are virtual, so you will get a link and you sign into it on your computer or tablet or phone or whatever. Action may or may not be taken after executive session.
Susan Rubright was kind of a stickler about that.
Jay, thanks for coming.
Okay.